women.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, Kanto.
Very soon.
That's my brother.
Oh,
Marian, hey,
hello.
Joe.
Hello, 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 hello.
Hey, Marian.
Hello. Good to see you. Good to see everyone. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't say thank you enough. Thank you, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Happy International Women's Day. If you are just joining us, well, we just started. But today is actually March 8th, 2025, or 8th March 2025, and it's International Women's Day. Women are being celebrated all over the world. And I believe that the UN theme is accelerate impact, something like that. But today we celebrate all women. We honor the incredible achievements and contributions of women around the world. Their strength or our strength, resilience, leadership in all spheres of life, whether it's at home, whether it's in education field, it's in science and technology, a parking lot. Women are really a backbone of society. So thank you for all that you do. Thank you, thank you, thank you. My name is Marian Amwa, and today, before I introduce myself, I'm wearing red. I have a red headgear. I'm honoring my mother, Mrs. Marian Forson, for her investment and impact on my life. And so who do you want to honor today? Which woman do you want to, or women do you want to honor? You can put that in the chat. And I am the author of Breaking Through the Immigrants Handbook for Thriving in the American Workplace. And I'm also the author of A Routine for Life. Today, we have three incredible women, and I'll be facilitating a conversation. And today's session, the women that have agreed to join us are women that I deeply respect, deeply love, cherish. And so thank you for coming. They are coming to us from three different continents when they introduce themselves. But let me say it, from Africa, from America, from Europe. So the point to that is also the fact that the principles in this book, Breaking Through, can be applied wherever you are. I believe that they are timeless principles that wherever you are, you can apply to thrive, even in the workplace, at home. You know, everyone wants somebody who is hardworking. Everyone wants somebody who shines, right? These are timeless principles. So these ladies, incredible ladies, would in a short while would share their stories. And so one of the things that I was telling them earlier is that you know, when you go to some of those large shops, here in America, we have Costco or Sam's Club. Sometimes they have all these tables with tasting items. They call them samples. We only have an hour, and right now it's even running a little bit less. They are just going to give you samples, just a little bit, just a tidbit of their life journeys. And at some point, I would have them on one-on-one where they would go deep. And so once again, welcome everyone. If you have any questions, please, questions, comments, they say something that you really like, Chichiism or Jerryism or Susieism, put it in the chat and we will amplify that. And so help me welcome Chichi Undie, Susie or Susanna Forson, and Geraldine Mesa Dati. And I would ask them to I would ask them a few questions, but before we get into all the questions that we have slated for today, I would have them introduce themselves, you know, sell yourselves. Women. Sometimes we undersell ourselves, but today they have the liberty to sell yourself, who you are to your family, your community, your nation, your workplace. Introduce yourself, share with us a fun fact about yourself, and we will start from there. So let's go by Chichi. Why don't we start from you, with you?
Sure. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Marion, for having me. I'm really honored to be here. And as you said, my name is Chichi Undie, and I'm joining you from Nairobi, Kenya. I'm right here at my desk in my bedroom, and really pleased to be representing the African continent. I'm a researcher, essentially. I'm a research director, and as part of my role within a research organization, I'm also serving as the regional representative for the Population Council here in Nairobi, Kenya. We're a public health research institution. Fun fact about myself, I'm also a memoirist. So a million years ago, actually, I was thinking about it today, it's about 13 years ago now, I wrote a memoir. It's a memoir about my divorce, my experience going through divorce as an African Christian woman living in Africa. And that's something that I think a lot of people don't realize because most of my writing is academic. So just to say, in my other life, I do non-academic writing. Thanks.
Thank you, Chichi. Geraldine and then Susie.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. My name is Geraldine Mensadate, and I'm thrilled to be here with you today. I'm joining you from a charming town called Grove City in Ohio, USA. I'm originally from Angloga in the Volta region in Ghana, and I've been in the US for about 24 years. I'm the firstborn of 5 great children, and I have one of the greatest on this call, Dr. Virgil Mensadati. Virgil, thank you for your support and thank you for being here. I work as a data analytics manager in a reputable company, Cardinal Health in Dublin, Ohio, and with a wealth of experience in business and data analytics management, my career has revolved around transforming raw data into actionable insights that drive strategic decisions and, as we all know, optimize business processes. So I'm all about the bottom line. A little bit more about my background. I've always been passionate about processes, numbers, and patterns, and which naturally led me to a career, a course in tech, University of Science and Technology, chemical engineering, and also to pursue a career in data science when I came to the US. Over the years, I've worked with different companies and have been part of teams that help these companies harness the power of data to achieve their goals and unlock new opportunities. But here's a fun fact about me. I'm deeply committed to mentoring aspiring data professionals. And I think all my friends know that. I find joy in sharing my knowledge and experience, helping others navigate their career paths and watching them grow and succeed in the field of data and analytics. You know, mentoring has been something that runs in my family, and we just do it because our mother did it, our father did it. And so it's one of the fun facts about me, and you get to know more about me as we go along. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Susie.
Thank you. My name is Susan Forson. I'm speaking in UK. I'm in call it a county called Kent. So I'm on the border of Kent and London. So I have 1 foot in London, 1 foot in outside London. And I moved over from London to this part because it's more green. I love the countryside. And I don't want too much of the countryside, so I'm in the middle. A bit of both worlds, I say. My kids are always mourning. They're adults now. They'll say, why did you move out of London? I love the greens. That's one fun fact about me. I love greenery. So that's why I moved over to this part of the UK. I moved over here about 23 years ago. I've been in the UK 31 years now. So I've lived in the UK for 31 years now. And another fun fact about me is I love computers, but I don't work. I'm a teacher, educator, a youth worker. I love working with children and the youth because I want to see them do well. I want to see them make progress. and I want to see them flourish in the different environment where we grew up. A lot of people have migrated here, have had children, and sometimes I see the parents are not really sure what to do. So I like to support, help, and steer them to the right direction by working with the children and with the parents as well. Thank you.
Wow. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to all three of you. Chichi, you say you use a really big word. So Chichi is a researcher. She said she's the memorist. What is it? It's simple word is that she's a writer, right?
That's a memoirist, yeah.
Yeah,
A writer.
Chichi,
Yes.
Chichi is a writer, and it's interesting. I didn't even know this about Chichi. Also works with children and youth. I remember we used to work with children. So, and Jerry is also working with young adults. She's also into mentoring, and so there's one thing the three of you seem to be already. I didn't even know that have in common. And so thank you for working with our young children. Thank you for working with our youth and young adults. And thank you for what you are imparting in their lives. So thank you very much. Okay, let's continue. I'm already loving this. So we have Africa represented, Nairobi, America, Ohio, and we have United Kingdom, Kent. Okay, so can you share with us your journey as an immigrant and highlight some key markers of your success? And this could be professional journey, your academic and career growth. It can be business ventures. It can be, you choose whichever part of your journey you want to share, the strengths, your resilience, persistence, etc. And I always say that life is not linear. You have twists and turns, and so we would love to hear your story. And Chichi, well, I want to say that Chichi, earlier on I said Chichi, you're an immigrant. I use that in code, but you live in Kenya, so you are an immigrant there. So yeah, this time let's start with Geraldine, and then you all will have a chance.
Okay. Well, again, my journey as an immigrant began when I moved to the United States in search of better opportunities and a brighter future. And the transition was challenging. A single mother with a 6-year-old daughter, but I had a very loving brother who had been living in the US for about maybe 4 years. And so he helped me with settling in, and I was very grateful for that opportunity. But personally, I was determined to make the most of all the challenges that I faced. I pursued higher education in international development. I was just sharing with my other colleagues in data science and analytics. All I was doing was to equip myself with the skills and knowledge needed to excel in my field. After completing my studies, I landed my first job as a business analyst in a reputable company, and the initial period was tough as I had to adapt to a new working culture and navigate the complexities of the industry and also of this new state I was in. That was when I moved to Ohio from Maryland. However, my passion for data and my willingness to learn helped me overcome these challenges. And I also had my family's support. Each time I was in doubt, I went back to my siblings who were also living here. I embraced every opportunity to enhance my skills. From attending workshops to seeking mentorship from experienced professionals. As I gained experience, I moved up the career ladder, taking on more responsibilities and leading bigger projects. And I also made it a point to stay updated with the latest advancements in my field, ensuring that I could contribute effectively to my team. One of the key markers of my success, and I would say success because I'm a positive person, was when I transitioned into a management role. This was a significant milestone for me. And it allowed me to lead and mentor a team of other talented professionals. There was something that I did, and was to look for professionals who were making waves, but I couldn't find any. So I invested in a course at Harvard Business School, very expensive. But all I was doing was to find people like me who were making waves, people who were doing well. I knew my brother did a PhD in Cornell, and that was a great one, but I needed more. And so, and I excelled. I studied so hard. I wanted to do well, and I found myself at the top of the class at the end of the course. And I had the opportunity to be the commencement speaker at our graduation, standing in front of all these people at the Harvard Business School, at the Harvard Business School podium, giving a speech. That was something that changed a lot of things in my life. I found immense satisfaction in guiding others and helping them navigate their own career paths. I shared my experience. My journey was not always linear, but every experience, whether positive or challenging, contributed to my growth and success. In addition to my professional achievements, I also dedicated myself to giving back to the community. I volunteered to conduct workshops and seminars at church, in the community, sharing my knowledge and inspiring others to pursue careers in data and analytics, especially, because that was the easier part. And a lot of friends grown-ups that I, hung out with would tell me, your resilience and persistence is completely different. And I know, and I agree with them. My resilience and persistence and commitment to continuous learning were instrumental in shaping my journey and achieving my goals. And I'm not where I want to be yet, but at least I'm happy with what I've done and I'm always celebrating small victories. And so this is a very simple part of my journey, and I'm more than happy to share more details with anyone who connects with me.
Oh my
Thank
goodness.
you.
So I was trying to write, and that's a book right there. So unfortunately, I can't write and type at the same time. But if I were to sum up, I think I got at least 5 things. The overarching summary will be resilience and persistence and commitment to continuous learning. Resilience, persistence, and commitment to continuous learning. Great. And you said that willingness to learn. Every opportunity you had, you took every opportunity to improve yourself. You updated your skills in your field, the skills needed in your field, shared your experience and gave back to the community. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. There is a comment in the chat that says, wow, proving that success is where preparation meets opportunity. Great job, sister. Then Alison, Mrs. Sawyer, this is a great message for all young people to hear, to seek out opportunities and mentors and to mentor others. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing that. If you have any questions, please, by all means, put it in the chat or a comment, or any one of the panelists says anything that gives aha moment, please, by all means, put it there. I would read it out. Now to you, Susie, same question. Can you share your journey as an immigrant, some highlights, some key markers of your success, any adjectives you might want to use to I think that I might have to mute everyone.
No, I'm also getting credit from BGNE.
Please mute yourself.
I haven't received any credit from BGE. No.
I'm sorry. Please. Where's my mute button? Okay, go ahead. Susie.
Okay. Am I paying over what?
Hi again.
I'm sorry, it's a little bit loud here, so I can't hear you properly.
Geraldine's, but different as well. I joined my husband in the UK because he was studying over here. So I finished university, did my national service, and then moved over to the UK. But while growing up, I wanted to be a teacher so much. I love teaching because I love to see change in people. And I remember teaching our housemaid how to read when I was in primary school. So I grew up wanting to be a teacher or a researcher. So I went to Cape Vast, University of Cape Coast, to do a degree in education, social studies education. Then moved over here to join my husband. It wasn't easy to find a job, so I did all sorts of jobs before I moved over to London, to Kent, sorry. Moved from London to Kent. When I had my first child and I was home looking after him, I got bored of staying at home because I love learning. I don't like to be not active. I have to exercise my brain. So when he was about a year old, I enrolled in the local college and did computerized accounting, which I don't use, but I wanted to study something. So I did word processing so I could improve my typing. And as I said earlier, I love working with computers. So use the computer, improve my typing speed. And then I did computerized accounting, which is, the certificate is sitting somewhere, not being used at the moment. So I've loved all of that. And then I started to work in a school as a volunteer for once a week, every week when I moved over to Kent, because I wanted to get used to the system in the UK, because Ghana and UK have different ways of doing things and teaching. And in order to learn, I decided to volunteer and learn whilst practicing those skills. But the teacher I worked with was put in a primary year 5 class. And she always said, how come the children respond to you so well? And I hadn't even realized that. And she was always asking. So one day I told her my secret and she said, okay, I'm happy to recommend you for another job in the country where you can earn money for all these skills. Because I can see you got the skills to work with children. Because when I started, I didn't tell anybody I was a teacher before. But she said, every time you work with the children, they seem to respond. So I said, okay, I need to take this further. So white lady, didn't know me anywhere, just put in her class, said that to me, and I thought I need to take this further. So I took it serious and enrolled in a postgraduate course in this country. So I did the postgraduate certificate for education. And after that, I joined the school not too far from here, which was a shock. It was a big cultural shock. From where I've come from, it was a Catholic school, well-behaved children, to this public school. The behavior was like, can't describe it. And I had to learn a lot on the go. I had a lovely head teacher who liked working with me. So I learned a lot from the teachers, learned a lot from the head teacher, and she didn't want me to leave. So she paid my agency who took me to the school and paid me in the summer holidays so that I don't go and apply for another job. So I stayed in this school, did well, but some of the teachers, I don't know, it was envy or jealousy, I can't pinpoint it. They didn't like me because I could do computers and they didn't like it. And I could do a bit of French and that they didn't like as well. So bad that they didn't even want to say good morning to me sometimes. And also one of them later on confessed, they couldn't believe a Black person could know something more than them. So they tried to, I don't know, spoke to my head teacher not to allow the school to do French because I can speak some French. They wanted the school to do Spanish so that we are all starting from the level playing field, according to her. So it was one of the big challenges, but thank God, the head teacher said, no, we'd rather have somebody who can help us when we are stuck than nobody. So I worked in that school for 5 years, and the same head recommended me to do my deputy head training in another school. So I moved to another school to do my deputy head training. But all of this, one of the challenges I faced was people opposing for no reason, opposing because of the color of my skin. So I don't know what to call it, racism or jealousy. It's one of those. But every time I face those challenges, I've had to go back to God, talk to God and say, God, help me get through this. And I've had the wisdom somehow to deal with them without confronting them or being aggressive. And so some of them, 2 of them actually came back to confess to me And now we are friends.
Great.
And one of them, I had the children in year 5, she had them in year 6. And she came to me and said, I can't teach my year 6 children anything. Because everything I teach them, I start teaching them. And they say, oh, Mrs. Forson has taught us this. So what haven't you taught them that I can teach them? And he said, oh, I didn't know you were such a great teacher. Now I know because I've got the children from your class in my class. So in a way I said, okay, I don't have to speak to anybody about what I can do. My work has spoken for me. So I thank God that my work has spoken for me. So sometimes it's not always talking. Make sure we are diligent workers, resilient. When I face those positions, I thank God for the grace to be persevering. In this area, it's mostly white. So I could go to a workshop. I love going to workshops. So I like to, like Geraldine said, I like to learn new things. So when there was an offer related to what I'm doing, I was one for it. And I'll go, and as soon as you enter, heads tend to look at you. And I thought, I'm not going to let them stop me from learning. I continued going to the workshops, and they have to get used to me because I know I'm different from all of them, but I'm not going to stop. So that perseverance and resilience paid off in the end.
Very good. I see, are you done? I'm sure we'll get back to you. I know that you've moved into some of the challenges. There's a comment here, great job from Eunice, great job, Susie. I can relate to your story. Of course, when you set excellent standards, average people are uncomfortable around you. Those challenges were obviously opportunities to propel you to greater heights. Thank you for sharing that. And if I were, some of the things that you said, one very much relates to the book, which is, I think, chapter 9, that says that stand out and shine wherever you find yourself, whichever sphere of influence. Just excel, do your best, stand out, shine. And I think the other thing that I heard from you was, I heard many things, but one headline was, somebody took your hand, somebody spoke for you, somebody advocated for you. That is, somebody took you on as you were their mentee.
Yes.
They were a mentor to you. And that's one of the things that Geraldine talks about, and that's right, mentoring. Everyone has something to offer, and especially as immigrants, having somebody hold your hand, having somebody be your ally, networking with somebody who would mention your name in places that you cannot be. So that was great. And I like the fact that you said you volunteered. So the benefits of volunteering, sometimes it's volunteering that opens doors for us. So great job. As for the other people who were doing whatever, your work spoke for itself, and your work vindicated you. So thank you so much for sharing that. So Chichi, the same question for you. Well, I see one Victor Forson saying, I know who he is, saying, well done, Susie. You always work hard. So that's good. And then there was a comment for you, Geraldine, from I think one Virgil, who said, I thought you were Chinese. I'm sure you get the joke. So the same question goes to you, Susie, not Susie, Chichi. Can you share your journey as an immigrant and highlight some key markers of your success? Professional, academic, business, home, and we'll get into the challenges. Yeah,
sure. Thank you, Marion. It just dawned upon me now that I actually have, 2 immigrant experiences.
Yes.
The first being in the US. So I'm Nigerian. You could call me Nigerian American, quote unquote. I'm American by birth. I'm Nigerian by everything else, including culture, upbringing, and lived experience. And so what that meant was that when I returned to the US in my 20s, even though I had an American passport, I was as much an immigrant as any other immigrant. I didn't even know how to take the bus. I had to learn how to do everything all over again. It was like if I had never been, because I left as a child. And so I guess my immigrant journey began then. And when I think about my own journey as a professional and as an immigrant, what comes to mind is really, it's been a journey of going against the grain, let me put it that way. So I moved to the US with a French degree when the hope was that I would have gotten a medical degree. But it was so important to me to get that French degree. And I was so proud of it, and so in love with the language. And I think studying a language has a way of almost preparing you to live elsewhere. So I always knew right from the time I was a teenager, I was going to live elsewhere. It was going to be in Africa somewhere, you know what I mean, in the African region. And so I came into the US and then I studied another unconventional thing, my master's degree, which was in intercultural communication. And everybody asked me, what's that? And what are you going to do with it? And I said, well, all I know is that I'm really enjoying this. And then I got a doctoral degree in language literacy and culture. And everybody wanted to say, what's that? And what are you going to do with it? Are you planning to teach a language? And I was like, I've never really seen myself teaching, even though I think I'm a good teacher, and I have no idea what I'm going to do. All I know is that this is what I'm really, enjoying. So that's really what comes to mind for me is going against the grain. And then at some point, I picked up and moved to Kenya. I began my research journey in Baltimore, Maryland. I got my first job, speaking of, reaching out to people, having a network and so on and so forth, through our church network, people that used to actually fellowship in Marion's house, Marion and Kwesi's home. One person was leaving her job, put in a good word for me, and I got this job in the School of Public Health, Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health. Had no idea what public health was. All I knew is they were looking for a lead ethnographer. I had just come back from doing my field work. My dissertation is essentially an ethnography. So I said, well, I've just done mine. I'm sure I can do this in the workplace. And that's how that was my introduction to public health. And I worked there for about 2 years and realized, oh, there's this field and there's room for people like me too. There's a lot that I can contribute as well. And that's when I began to hear about postdoctoral fellowships and began to understand what they were, because we had postdoctoral fellows within the research center. And I said, this would be really good for someone like me who has no health background, has never taken a health course, and has found herself working as a researcher in public health. And so I began to apply. I applied for 2 in the US and 1 in Kenya. And the one in Kenya was the one that intrigued me the most. And when I was brought to East Africa for the first time, they flew me down to Nairobi for an interview. And I had a day-long, exhausting interview. I knew that that was the job I wanted if they were going to give it to me. And at the end, I got all 3 postdoctoral fellowships, got offered all 3. One was at Hopkins, a partnership between Johns Hopkins University and Morgan State University, and the other was just strictly at Hopkins. And the one in Kenya just seemed most intriguing. And so I accepted that. And I think I was interviewed in June, and by August, we packed up and we'd moved to Nairobi. And so that was my second immigrant experience. I'll say that about my US experience, there was something about it. Baltimore, I used to go back, and I was there last year, right, Marion? And I feel like it is one of my homes. But as a professional, it never felt right. I always felt uncomfortable. I felt uneasy. I felt like I'm not really supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be somewhere else. And then when I, interviewed in this Pan-African research organization, it just really felt like home. And I felt like this is where I'm supposed to be. I always say that moving to Kenya is one of the top 5 best decisions. If you ask me, what are the top 3 to 5? Moving to Kenya will be one of them, because it really changed the course of my career. I think I would have had a great career if I remained in Baltimore. I think that moving to Kenya accelerated my career. The kinds of opportunities that I had access to quite early in my career would not have happened in the same way had I stayed in Baltimore. And people stay in Baltimore in the US and in the West and whatnot, and they do really well. I'm sure I would have done okay. I think that I was meant to make this move that I've made. And so to cut a long story short, because I know our time is far gone, I just want to say that, and Marion, I shared this with you. I think I shared this with you last year. I was in Baltimore for the first time for a meeting. Typically, if I'm in the US for a meeting, I'm in New York or DC. This is the first time that the meeting was supposed to be in Baltimore, and it was supposed to be at the Johns Hopkins University, the School of Public Health. And it was a very emotional moment for me coming back 20 years later, not as a junior researcher, a lead ethnographer, a senior research program coordinator, but as one of the experts within the Johns Hopkins School of Public Health, working on research on humanitarian settings. It was just working with much older, experts as well. And I will say, it was sort of a male-dominated meeting, but I felt that I came full circle because, the School of Public Health, they've put all those centers in one building now. So the Center for Adolescent Health where I worked was on a separate street. There were all these centers scattered all over the place. So a lot of them now are in one building, and that's the one building where we were having this meeting. And I saw the Center for Adolescent Health, and I was like, wow, I came here as a kid, and I've come back as a full-fledged expert, by sort of going against the grain, not knowing what I was going to do with what I was studying, not knowing why I was having this nudging and this discomfort that, I just wasn't in the right place, but just trusting that, what it is that I have within me, the passion and desires that I just feel pulled towards, were going to take me to wherever I needed to be professionally. So I'm going to just end on that note, Marian.
Oh, I know. I've known Chichi for a very long time. I know parts of the story, but I haven't heard the story being told like this and going against the grain. And for me, I was also hearing finding your niche or passion and going after it fearlessly, right? And trusting your gut. I hope I got the summary right. Going against the grain. I mean, how many of you can say that the degree that you went to school to study for is what you're using right now? If that is the case, say yes. If it's no, say no. Put it in the chat and let's see. We do all kinds of things. But I also had the desire to grow, the desire to improve yourself. So thank you so much, Chichi, for sharing that and trusting your gut, and congratulations. So I see in the chat, no, certainly not me. People are not, certainly not me, the degree, but somehow they all come together. Very good. Okay. The next question is, any significant challenges you faced and how did you overcome them? Think about your immigrant experience. Think about your workplace. Any significant, challenges. You may share one or two, and how did you overcome them? And these sessions are done so that people can pick up some tips and resources and advice that they can use in their own journey. So thank you and welcome as you think about the question, welcome everyone for joining. Happy International Women's Day. If you were not here earlier, we said that today is International Women's Day and we are honoring women from all spheres of life. So if you want to honor someone, a woman in your life, your mother, sister, mentor, you can put the person's name in the chat. And I have with me today Chichi Undie she's coming to us from Nairobi, Kenya. I have Susanna Forsen from Kent, United Kingdom, and I have Geraldine Mensah-Dati from Ohio, from Ohio, United States. So I have three incredible women from three continents speaking about their experience. All these conversations are based on breaking through the Immigrants Handbook for thriving in the workplace. It doesn't matter where you are, you can thrive with the principles mentioned in the book. So the question to you, Susie, is what are some significant challenges that you have faced and how did you overcome them?
Well, I've got several, I'll share two. One of them was the racism or colleagues being jealous and school politics, I'll say. School politics. They know you are qualified for it, but because of your color and not sure whether you can even do it sometimes, they don't want to give you the position. And sometimes, as I said, some people have come back later to talk to me about it. And sometimes they make it so obvious, as one of the teachers said to me, "You're not Ghanaian." And I said, "Why do you say I'm not Ghanaian?" She said, "All the Ghanaians I've met never speak like you. They don't speak good English." So I said, then the Ghanaians you've met maybe are Ghanaians who haven't been to school. That's why they can't speak good English, and all the comments they make about where you come from, all of that. And I don't know whether it's jealousy or envy. So it's been one of the stumbling blocks to my growth. And every time I face that, I've tried not to, as I said, they'll be aggressive. I smiled about it, but I go off and I said to myself, I don't know what they were talking about. It shows that they have not traveled, they haven't been educated enough to know about other cultures. So I try to brush it off and not let it trouble me. And then I go off again to doing what I do. Another one has been an advice I got from an Indian man I used to work with. Before I started teaching in the country, I was into property, selling office space. And my boss, the owner, was an Indian man who said to me, you and I, because of our color, we have to be 4 times better than them. And that stayed with me. And I said, yes, I know, I agree. And that's why I work hard. I have to be 4 times better than them. And that stayed with me, and that became my motivation. Anytime I had criticisms or negative comments, I said to myself, I'm going to prove them wrong. I'm going to prove them that I'm not what they think I am. So it made me work even harder. So the negatives became positives for me, and it made me work hard, read more, learn more. And I think I have to stop there. Thank you very much.
Prove them wrong.
Yes.
Prove them wrong. Success, there's nothing, success will speak for itself. Prove them wrong. It doesn't matter where they are coming from. When they speak against you, let your work speak for itself. So thank you. You know, I was saying that problems are opportunities in disguise.
Yes.
The more they come at you, the more you work hard to prove them wrong. Okay.
And also, one thing I did was take the negatives. Sometimes you need to be honest with yourself and think about what they've said. Do I need to change something? So it's good to reflect as well. And I was always reflecting on my practice, reflecting. Don't keep living in the negatives all the time, because it just pulls you down. Think about it, reflect, and move on.
Reflect.
24 hours was my mantra. 24 hours and I'm moving on. 24 hours is enough and I move on.
Wow. Okay. So trying to say it as succinctly. Yeah, take what they've said, not that take it, accept it, but reflect on it. I think that is that introspection, and then reflect on it. See what you can take from it, adjust and move on. 24 hours. That's a tip right there. 24 hours and move on. Reflect on it 24 hours. Do what you have to do and move on. There's a comment here. It's all about fear. People tend to destroy what they fear. Words can be distorted, but results are always undeniable. Keep going. Keep your comments coming. Thank you, Dr. Texan. Who wants to go next? Reflect. Okay, Mami Esiagri puts it in. Reflect and move on. Reflect and move on. So I think that challenges, Jerry, I will come to you, and then Chichi. Are there any significant changes you faced, and how did you overcome them? I'm laughing because I was like, everybody faces challenges, right? So I'm sure they are. Take it away, Jerry.
Okay, thank you, Marianne. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. So I'll talk about a couple. So the first one, it's about adapting to a new culture and work environment. So moving to the United States required me to adapt to different cultural norms and workplace practices. So integrating into a new professional environment while understanding the nuances of the local work culture was challenging. But my dedication to learning and flexibility helped me overcome this challenge. Another one is proving competence and gaining credibility. You know, in my profession, you have to be smart. You have to speak well because it's everyday presentation. And so facing biases and skepticism about my qualification and abilities as an immigrant was challenging. Continuously, I had to demonstrate my expertise in the business and data knowledge. I had to be excellent in project executions. And so, along with my dedication to continuous learning, and I'm sorry, I have to keep talking about continuous learning, it's helped me gain credibility and to prove my competence, especially at work. Even at home as a mother, my daughter will be always comparing me to maybe the people in the soap operas on TV, or some people that she sees around, her friends' parents. At church, I had to prove that I wasn't just that single woman who walks into church all the time. And so some of the challenges were just you understanding it and saying, hey, stop. This is how I'm going to do it, and I'm going to face it. I'm not going to face it negatively, like Susan said, but you continuously demonstrate your expertise to the people around you. And one other thing I want to just mention, and it's very important to me, and that is building professional networks. Establishing a strong professional network in a new country was difficult initially. Building relationships with my colleagues, because you didn't have classmates from the university. Mentors and industry professionals took time and effort. And that was what took me to Harvard Business School. But my commitment to proactive business development around myself and personalized communication helped me to gain trust and recognition. Now I can just walk into a conference and see people standing around, and I'll shake hands, look them in their face and smile and say something. And so it takes time to build that, those challenges, but determination made me help me to overcome all those challenges. Thank you. I have more, but I'll stop there. Everybody.
Oh my goodness, this is good. This is good. This is so good. I am, I'm supposed to be facilitating, not enjoying myself so much. But continuous learning, building professional networks. And I think it comes to that proving competence and gaining credibility. So continuous learning, if somebody can put it in the chat, building professional networks, proving competence and gaining credibility. I think that Susie said it in different ways, that the more they challenge you, the more you learn to prove them wrong. Yeah, results cannot be denied. Thank you. A few things in the, somebody wrote, go girl Jerry. Then Abigail wrote, great Jerryism. Earlier on, I think somebody said, hashtag 24 hours, a great Susieism. So we have the hashtag 24 hours, a great Susie's, go girl Jerry. Then challenges are the tuition you pay for the success. Great. Same question to you. But before we get to Susie, please, I only have one ask of you. If you are on Zoom, and I think it should be on Facebook, there's a YouTube channel. My ask of you is if you can subscribe to the YouTube channel where we save all these conversations. It's on YouTube, breaking through immigrant voices. I believe that's a YouTube address. So Chichi, same question. Any significant challenges you have faced, and how did you overcome them?
I think the Susieisms and the Jerryisms have sort of taken the words out of my mouth. And as Susie was speaking, I almost thought I didn't have a whole lot to share on this particular topic, but I'll mention two things. One of them I recalled as Susan was speaking. So speaking of going against the grain, I moved from Baltimore to Nairobi. Everyone and their mother asked me, Chichi, how come you're moving to Africa? Everybody in Africa is trying to come to America. How come you're moving to Africa? Going against the grain once again. Anyway, but so when I got to this organization, it was very male dominated. Not a bad thing, but that's just what it was. It was also very dominated by, men with quantitative research skills. So everybody was a demographer, an epidemiologist, everyone was, strongly quantitative. Here I come as this qualitative person who got a C in the only statistics class I took in grad school. I really had to prove myself in this environment. And, in public health, it was also an environment where qualitative research was regarded as, less than. And so it really was an opportunity. I suppose why I didn't remember it immediately is because I took that really as a challenge. And if anything, it sort of ignited, fire within me to show that actually different kinds of research can be really rigorous. And what happened is because I was almost the only one that wasn't a demographer, I became the qualitative expert by default. Nobody else knew how to do it. And so I was like, this is really rigorous. I was taught to do this really well. And, I was able to show them that it just wasn't what they thought it was. It was much, much more. Yeah, so that's one thing. It came by working really hard and by, realizing that a lot of people around me, I'm surrounded by people who are really good with the numbers and running the stats and this, that, and the other. But what I bring is a theoretical mindset, and I'm also a really good writer. A lot of people who may be really good with the numbers are not necessarily good at writing things up. And so I really played that up, and it really helped, me to gain respect, within this particular group. The only other thing I want to mention is one of the things I've noticed, because I would say that, I've really had a charmed career, let me put it that way. But over the last 5 years, I've run into rough patches. And I just want to say that within our career, just like within our lives in general, that there are seasons. You know what I mean? And I went through this very long season of being favored and just living this charmed life, at least when it came to my career. And then I reached a point where it was almost like I no longer had the magic wand. It was almost like the same bag of tricks weren't working. It was almost like, it was just this really rough patch and phase that I really couldn't explain because nothing had really changed. Of course, international development and everything else is changing. Everything is becoming harder. But I just want to say that there can be rough patches, within our careers where we ask ourselves, what are we doing here? And I just want to say that I've overcome that time and time again by taking it one day at a time. Every project that's difficult right now is going to come to an end. No project lasts forever, right? Every difficult donor, you will eventually, you get another one eventually. So things sort of just pass, and if things don't pass, don't stay in an abusive relationship. If you have an abusive relationship with your job, just trust in your employability. And don't feel like you're this battered woman that can't leave, because you can.
Oh, I'm telling you, these women are the real deal. Don't stay in an abusive relationship. And sometimes it's work. Thank you so much, Chichi. Headlines like find your niche, work hard at it, right? And I think it's the same thing that results, prove yourself. The results don't lie. Show them, like show and tell. Nobody can, if you bring this cap, nobody can tell you there's not a cap. And there will be rough patches. We all know it. There'll be rough patches. What do you do in the rough patches? You work where you take one day at a time. This is so good. And if what was one chichism that you want to put in the chat? Don't stay in an abusive relationship. And that could be your job. Okay. So ladies, I know panelists, International Women's Day, wonderful ladies, great job. You are all making an impact. Thank you for sharing your stories. So probably, okay, we may have one or two more questions. If you could speak to your younger self, what advice would you give? Is there anything you'd change or you do more of? I think that why don't you start this one briefly?
Sure, I would have dreamt more and worried a bit less. And I just would say to her, keep dreaming. I used to daydream a whole lot. And those dreams are really important. And dreaming is for free. You know what I mean? Don't put limits on what you imagine that you're going to be. Yes, and I would say, honestly, no regrets. everything is going to be okay, is what I would say, to who I was, when I was, let's say, in my 20s.
Okay. Keep dreaming. Keep dreaming. Sorry, I'm typing. Don't stay in an abusive work relationship. According to Chichi. Okay. So Susie, and then we'll go to Jerry.
I would say, as Jerry said, build professional network. I wish I'd done more of that. And also be more adventurous than I was to sample different schools. So Chichi's words have spoken to me. Yeah, I wish I had sampled more schools and built a more strong professional network.
Okay, so build more network, strong professional network. Okay,
yes.
That is if you are speaking to your younger self.
Be more adventurous and sample different schools. There could be better offers than where we are.
Okay. So, okay, very good, very good. So it's like, I don't want to put words in your mouth. Don't stay in that abusive work relationship.
Yes.
Explore.
Like Chichi said, yes.
Like Chichi said. Okay, very good. Mama Jerry, same question. If you could speak to your younger self.
I would emphasize, if I could go back and speak to my younger self, Geraldine, I would emphasize the importance of patience and trusting the journey. In my earlier years, I often felt an intense pressure to achieve success quickly. And I think my two siblings on the call will testify to that. And believing that rapid accomplishments were the only markers of progress. However, and over time, I've come to understand that true growth and success are gradual processes that require time, effort, and perseverance. And then I will also tell myself that to embrace each step of the journey, no matter how small it may seem, because every experience, whether it's a success or a setback, they contribute to personal and professional development. And so it's important, so important to celebrate small victories and learn from challenges. And I would say that to my young friends on the call, because these are all part of your path to achieving long-term goals. Celebrate small victories and learn from your challenges. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Patience and trusting the journey. Growth comes through time, effort, and perseverance. Wonderful. There's a question here. How has the God factor, from Phyllis, how has the God factor influenced your decision-making in your journey? If I don't know who it's addressed to, but maybe you can each take it quickly, and then we'll go to the last section. How has the God factor
I would say it's every time. And I often remind myself when I'm facing challenges that the battle doesn't belong to me, the battle belongs to God. So I'm going to do my bit and leave the rest to God. And that's what I always say. And I say to him, God, I'm doing my bit, the rest is up to you. When there's meeting or anything, I'm not there, you are there. So you're going to turn every negative word into positives for me. And that's what I pray.
Fantastic. The God factor has been everything. Okay, Mama Jerry.
Let me go to unmute. Oh, okay. So I would go back to what I just said, speaking to myself. As a Christian, I know one thing: God orders my step. And they said the steps of the righteous are ordered by God. And I know he's ordering them into the light that I should be in. So all I do is patience and trust in the journey. Trust God, trust God, trust God. I've gone through so many problems. But at the end of the day, trusting, it's not easy. Trusting, being patient and trusting God in the journey was key. And it's ended well for me. So that is how the God factor has been in my journey. Just patience and trust in God that I would end in the right light.
Fantastic. T, a word on that.
You know, Marian knows this better than anyone. I'm not a prayer warrior, but I really believe in God. I have faith. And one of my favorite scriptures is taken from Philippians chapter 2, which talks about how it's God that works in us to will and to act according to his good purpose. So I hang on to that, you know. I just trust, you know, that God is in charge of my life. And I pray about things such as my work life. I pray when they're difficult, when there are obstacles, when there are challenges, so on and so forth, and about the different decisions that I'm going to make. I have never heard God speak and say, Chichi, take this job, do that, do that. And you know what I mean? But,
Yeah.
you know, I trust that as I'm putting these things into prayer, the decisions that I'm making, God is a part of them. So absolutely, it's been key for me too.
Very, very good. So we are almost at the end of our session today. Ladies, I have enjoyed you so much, so much, so much. There are great comments coming. There was one from Idana. A setback is not an indictment against you. Learn from it and move on. Phyllis, yes, preach. Jerry, the steps of a righteous man are ordered by God indeed. Chichi, our victory is our faith. You are right. The victory is not being a prayer warrior. You trust in God. There's something in God. God is the victory. Amen. And Irene, our God never fails, and his time is the best. Keep trusting. Okay. Thank you all for your comments. Happy International Women's Day. If there's a woman you want to honor, please put that person in the chat. The last question: what advice would you give to help our audience thrive in their careers and lives? This is your parting words, so to speak.
Okay, I can start.
Okay, sure.
All right. My advice is to my brethren, brothers and sisters on the call, wherever you're listening from, is embrace lifelong learning and stay adaptable. The world is constantly changing, and being open to new ideas and skills is crucial. So surround yourself with a strong support system and don't hesitate to seek help when needed. People have failed because they didn't ask for help. Remember that setbacks are a part of the journey, and each one is an opportunity to learn and grow. And lastly, I want to share something from one of my favorite sisters, Dr. Eunice Araba Texan. And she always says that we should have a growth mindset and be open to new challenges and opportunities. And there's this favorite thing she said, when you change the way you look at things, things will change the way they look. If it's a problem, look at it from a different angle and it will look different to you. So that is something important that I would want to leave with the audience. Thank you. And I'm very happy to have had this opportunity to share my thoughts and my journey with you.
Thank you so much. I will go to Susie and then Chichi would give us the last word on that. So what advice would you give to our audience? I mean, there's a whole batch, fabulous session, ladies. Keep on blazing the trails. I want to laugh. Dr. Texan said, I would like to honor myself. Yes, we honor you, Dr. Texan. Phyllis, happy International Women's Day. Keep soaring higher. Our resource people, we appreciate you all. Virgil, excellent. So Susie and then Chichi would end with that question for us.
Oh, I would say pray and persevere. PP. I was thinking of it during the week. I was in the kitchen and I said, pray and push. And I thought I need a better word for push. So pray and persevere. Pray and persevere. Find your passion. Find your passion. And you never have to go to work because you'll be enjoying what you're doing. So it's like, it's not work for you. It's something you love. And sometimes, as Geraldine said, she loved the data analyst job. And so you are enjoying it. You don't see it as work. It's something you love doing. So find your passion, be resilient, keep on being dedicated to the job. And remember, persevere. Things done by halves are never done right to me. My mom used to say that, and it stayed with me. If you're doing anything, put all of it, you're all into it. Be diligent, as the Bible wants us. God says, be a diligent worker. Don't work for man, work for God. That doesn't mean don't get paid. Get the money, but remember you are doing the job as a child of God. You are working in God's house, not working for man. So that when your boss doesn't give you the praise or the accolades, you get disappointed and then you get depressed. Don't expect it from man. Do your bit, be diligent, continue to improve your practice. Very important to do your professional development because ideas change all the time. So don't stay stuck in the old ways. If there's a new idea, look at it, trial it. If it doesn't work, fine. If it works, or you adapt it to suit what you're doing. So continuous updating, upgrading, learning is very, very important. And I said, stay updated with new ideas and innovations in your profession. Take criticisms as pointers to make your practice better. Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity to come onto this. Thank you, everybody, and thank you, Marian, for the chance to be here.
Of course. Thank you all for saying yes. Remember that the conversation is based on this book, Breaking Through, the Immigrants Handbook for Thriving in the Workplace. If you don't have a copy, you can always grab your copy on Amazon, read it, share your thoughts. If you want to come on this platform to share your journey, I remember in January, one of the panelists said, everyone has something to offer. Everyone has value. You are welcome to come join us in our conversation. So thank you, Susie, for sharing, answering that last question, sharing your thoughts. So the last question, of course, Chichi, same question. What advice would you give to help our audience thrive in their careers and work? While you're doing that, let me just read a few comments. Amazing work for God. Yvonne said, that's Virgil. And Yvonne said, thank you for sharing your journeys. Idana said, I've read that. Okay. Great jobs, ladies. It's not about competition or comparison. It's about contribution. And you are doing so in your unique ways. Pastor Sybil says, great panel. Happy International Women's Day. So, Chichi, yes, what advice would you give to our audience to thrive in their lives and their careers and workplaces, homes?
I honestly can't say anything to, so different from what the other speakers have said. I'll just say in the same thing in a different way. Trust yourself, trust God, couch that within ensuring you get skills and that you work hard. And that's just it. Thank you. And happy International Women's Day.
This has been great. We've touched on so many things. Women leading boldly was the theme, the on the flyer, empowered to thrive in life. We've heard about continuous improvement, updating your skills, hashtag 24 hours and move on, pray, persevere, push, keep dreaming, trust the journey, be patient and trust the journey, find your niche. Results don't lie. Work hard, prove them wrong. So thank you all so much for joining us today. We are coming back in 2 weeks with, I believe, 2 or 3 more incredible women to share their journeys. I have loved every one of your stories, your unique stories, the opportunities, the things, your resilience and your strength. Thank you so much, Chichi. Thank you, Susie. Thank you, Jerry. And thank you, audience, for joining us today. We hope that you enjoyed our session. You've picked up a few nuggets and tips and ideas and insights to continue your journey. Life is a journey, and continue. We'll see you again next time. Take care, everyone.